Hey, everybody, this is Adrian Martinez, and I'm so psyched to be here at the Portland Film Fest. Thank you, Diane. My movie is iGilbert. It's a feature film that I poured my heart, soul, and most importantly, wallet into. And I'm glad it's here at the festival because I love Portland, Stumptown. It was a TV show. We shot the pilot there, and I really fell in love with the idiosyncratic nature of the city. I'm psyched to be here with you other guys, and I pass it on to my fellow filmmakers.
Hi, my name is Aviva. I wrote a film called Lune, and I co-directed and acted and produced it. And I will now pass it on to Garland.
Hi, my name is Garland, and I wrote, starred in, directed, and produced and edited and did the sound for A World Away. And yeah, that's where I start and stop, and I'll pass it on to Abbey and Andrew, right?
Yeah, I'm Abbey Sowick, and
I'm Robert.
Robert, sorry.
But Andrew's close.
I thought Andrew. Sorry.
And we wrote, directed, and acted, and I produced a short film called Undercurrent. It's a short film.
It's short.
It's short.
It's not very long. No, it is. No.
And we self-funded it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we wore many hats on this project, and yeah, we're excited to be here and chat with you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Apologies.
So what made you all decide to take on such a big role with your films?
I can only blame massive stupidity. I just feel I grew up loving Charlie Chaplin. Like, Chaplin's my guy. And when I read that he started United Artists and wrote, produced, starred, and directed his movies, it just stuck in my head. And after being a character actor for years and leading man for years, you know, I kind of like wanted to contribute something that I thought of about the world, particularly the world we're now in. And I couldn't raise any money, mostly because I didn't try. I didn't want anyone getting a vote with the movie. I just wanted to shoot it on my own, which I don't recommend. Definitely crowdsource, much better off long term. But I shot it, and I thought to myself, well, who could play this role? Me. So I gave myself 3 auditions. The third audition for myself was ridiculous. Like, I just kept screaming at myself. And there were a lot of takes, and it was just ridiculous. I wouldn't shut up, and neither would me. So this went back and forth. Finally, I booked it. I was lucky to have booked it. And the director, who, let's face it, is an asshole. Wait, that's me. But in any case, it all kind of worked out, and I'm just really glad that you know, it's out in the world, and I got distribution, and big announcement later.
That made me laugh really hard. I wrote this as a play originally because I am from a theater background. And the story is based on my life. My father was a South African-born Jew who emigrated to Canada and had me, and was bipolar. And so he raised me, and most of my life I was dealing with him and his manic episodes. And one day I had the brilliant idea of writing that character as a woman so I could play it. So basically created work for myself. My partner in real life and work life, he and I had co-directed a feature previous. And so we teamed up again to co-direct this. So it's kind of a vanity project because I'm in it and I wanted the control of direction, and I wrote it, and it's based on my experience in my life, passing it on.
Directing A World Away seemed to be the simplest solution for me. Creating your own work is very important today, and you get tied up in a process of looking for work that you forget that you can create it yourself. I mean, you can hire yourself and tell stories that haven't been told, which are from your perspective. So I had very few tools. I used my phone because I didn't know which camera to buy. And I didn't want to let that stop me not having all the information. So I went with what I knew. And I used my family, let my wife hold the camera, and use my son. And we had a great time telling the story. And it was based off of a situation that was really close to me. My sister had a domestic violence situation, and I didn't find out about it until well after it happened. And there's been issues before, however, I was really close. So I actually had a hand in dealing with things years ago. But in this particular situation, she had her power stripped from her. And I felt like I would love to tell her story, but empower her in this story, but tell it from my perspective as being someone who was on the opposite end, who felt powerless as well with her, instead of just expressing my frustration with her situation. I wanted to share that from my point of view and give her power in it as well. So wearing those hats, being the director and casting myself in it and doing it allowed me the breathing room to fully realize this small story that other people may not see as important at first glance. And I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, so I feel like why we chose to take on all of the hats. For one, we had been kind of working with a writer at one point for another project, and we found that we were having a really hard time getting him to match where we wanted it to be. And we just kept saying, like, we should write something, because if we could write something, then we just have to deal with each other and getting on the same page, and we easily get on the same page. And so I feel like Undercurrent at one point was even just a trial for us to see, can we write something, and let's take this story idea that we have, that we were inspired by people around us who were starting to date during like lockdown, and let's explore it. And then it just kind of snowballed, and we kept writing drafts and getting feedback and drafts and drafts and drafts. And then, as for producing it, I just knew that I had to, and I hadn't done it before, but I just had this like really deep belief that I could make it happen. And I just went for it, and I just networked through people I knew. I didn't know any cinematographers, but we knew we wanted a full crew, and we found amazing people. And as for directing together, we had been making like these kind of small music videos. We started off making like travel guides on like YouTube. So we had kind of put those together. But we had like more of a cinematic experience in the YouTube world, I guess, through our travel guides. And so once we kind of ventured into the little music videos and creating our stories through that and directing those ourselves, I feel like this was just kind of like the next step for us, really.
Yeah, it was very much like a progression in a way. It did start out us kind of like for us as like a little bit of a exploration and kind of writing, like a writing exercise, and then we just started to fall in love with it, and we couldn't stop thinking about it. We couldn't stop talking about it. And the thing was, I have no producing experience as well. And for me, that seems like the most stressful thing in the world. And I told her, I was like, look, if this is going to get made, we need a producer. And she's like, I can produce it. And I said, okay, I can't. So good luck with that, and soon after that, she's just on the phone making calls and making connections and meeting people. And luckily we had the experience where we were sending our script out to like DPs and stuff, and people were like excited and wanting to work on it with us, you know, and that was a relief, because up until that point, I think we only knew that we liked it, you know, and we weren't sure if anybody else is going to like it, or how, if this was crazy even, you know.
And acting in it.
And then acting in it, yeah, I feel like that was where I was the most comfortable. I think that Garland, I like what you're saying, you know, it's like you get caught up in trying to get hired basically, and you forget that you can hire yourself. And that's been my experience like this whole time, as far as like acting and stuff like that. I think being like, I don't know, like for me, like I'm a Mexican American, but like I don't speak Spanish. I'm like very American, you know, and it's really hard to find like where I fit and where people, like how people see me, and I'm either not ethnic enough or too ethnic for something, and that's like a very hard, you know, it's hard to get work. It's hard to find, you know, where I fit. And so the best thing I could do in my mind is to make work for myself, is to, you know, to make the things that I want to be in. And like with our film with Undercurrent, like, you know, the Mexican American aspect is not a thing at all, you know. It doesn't have to be about that, you know. It doesn't have to be I'm playing a Mexican American, I'm just playing a dude. You know what I mean? And I feel like that only comes about when I create work for myself. So far that's been my experience, you know. But yeah, we're very passionate about storytelling. We're very passionate about, you know, we knew that once we started getting a hint of like directing, that we wanted more, you know. We want to, I think, have more control and more say over what happens in our stories, and, you know, and what kind of projects we put our energy into. And this was like the best way to do it, you know, even if we had to go deep in debt.
So since all of you clearly wore way more than two hats with your project, was it always your intention to have this heavy of an involvement?
Yeah, it was always my intention, because, you know, this was my baby and I just didn't want anybody messing with it. And so, you know, I wrote the script, and then I knew I wanted to direct it. I knew I wanted to act in it. But the only thing that was difficult is producing. So I had a friend of mine, we had the same agent, Domenica, Domenica Cameron Scorsese. She's Marty Scorsese's daughter. And she is a wonderful, generous spirit. And I said, do you know any producers that could help me out? And she referred me to Cynthia Hargrave, who had produced a movie called Bottle Rocket. And she ran a studio for a bit. And she was a lifesaver. She came on and she saved my ass so many times. She challenged me to keep writing, even though we were shooting. Keep writing, keep pushing yourself, keep making the script better and better. This past spring, she passed on. And I always think of her now, even now when I'm dealing with the distributor, I think of her. But she was instrumental in helping me produce the movie as it should be, to the standard that we both could be happy with. But producing was the biggest challenge for me. I don't like money, and I don't like dealing with it and making these kind of decisions. But it was always my intention to wear four hats.
I also had the intention of wearing all the hats, except like you, Adrian, I didn't want to deal with the money. And so against my partner's wishes, I was like, we need a producer, we need a producer. And because like you, Robert, I was like, I don't want to do that job. But I think it's a partnership between feeling having like some control issues and also knowing your project better than anyone, that you end up by default kind of producing anyway. For me, what I really relied on, I also learned in independent film, it's blurry what a producer does versus what a production manager does versus what your first AD does versus what your line producer does. Like, it's blurry. So since doing this feature, I've learned, like, delineate what are you responsible for and what title do you want for that responsibility. I didn't want to deal with all the union stuff and the contracts and all that kind of stuff. But I did want to make sure everybody was being taken care of and all the crew had the transport that they needed, and is the food good enough? And I still had that desire to oversee all that stuff, which I think if I was just a gun for hire, I would have given less of a toot on that. But yes, I definitely knew that I wanted to act in it and co-direct for sure. And I wrote it, and then producing by default is how I call myself as a producer, producing from necessity, passing it on.
Well, no, I did not want to do all this. It was not my desire to. I am an actor. I love focusing on my craft. And it is a place where I live. I love it. It allows me to take on so many different perspectives, to learn and understand and empathize and do all these things and go places I never would go if I wasn't an actor. You know, I get to experience so much and learn so many people and things. All these hats, not something I wanted to do. I wanted to just focus, but it's hard to get people on board for things. It is. It's, unless you know someone, people are really either focused on their own projects or unless you're paying them a lot, they're not interested. Or if they find out that you want to shoot on an iPhone, the answer is no. Even though it's experimental, I found success in other projects as well with my phone. I've since moved on, but it became a very, very hard task to put people on. People were interested when they heard about the project, but when I gave them, my toolkit and what I was hoping to receive help with, the radio went silent. So I felt like, at first I didn't like hearing the word no. Actually, for the majority of my life, I hated the word no. I always say yes to people. If I can do it, why not yes? However, I'm thankful for the word now after this experience with this first project. And I realize all the no's I've heard, it prepared me for the yeses I received. If the right person would have said, if the wrong person said yes, I wouldn't have gone through this experience to learn about what I need and learn about this whole process to become who I am now. And I've evolved since taking on this first project. I've gone on to do 2 more and prepare for a 3rd I'm in the process of right now. And I wouldn't be here without those no's. So I'm thankful for that. But after taking on all these hats, I'm realizing that there's a lot of things I can do on my own, and there's a lot of things I can't. And I would love to pass things off, like such as dealing with money and contracts and all these things. However, it's hard to pass off dealing with money when you don't have any money to deal with, which is, I'm in that situation. Although my son, he's happily paid in fruit snacks, but, other people aren't. So
you can always pay me in fruit snacks.
I can always pay you in fruit snacks. Okay, great. But it's, learning this whole process and wearing these hats and first not wanting to do it, I realized that not only do I love acting, I love cinematography as well. I'm figuring out certain shots that I can see. Whereas I didn't have a chance to work with other people on these projects, but I'm probably sure that it probably would have been a longer process. My past experiences put me in the, giving me this tool set to do storyboards. I mean, I produced commercials. I was in advertising for years. So I have this skill set as a writer and art director, both. And I realized I can just use it. Although I don't want to use it as much because it takes away from my, focusing on, character. But I believe that knowing this can help me communicate to teams better, and actually taking this skill and utilize it properly. I believe I can actually maximize work in places where other people have not been able to. So being able to maximize my work using an iPhone in ways that people didn't know, like this project, I believe you can tell. My most recent project, no one knew, so there's shifts that I was able to make and adaptations I was able to do that I don't believe other people can make or can see. So I'm thankful for using all these hats now. My rant is over.
I think I do think that we had the intention of wearing a lot of the hats that we ended up with from kind of like the get-go. Once we became attached to the project happening, we knew that we wanted to act in it. We definitely developed our characters through parts of our own personalities and our own experiences. And so we kind of knew that we were the ones that had to do that. Also in the sense of like lockdown and everything like that, we felt like it would just be easier if we just act in it together. So there was like a conscious choice in that way as well. And we also knew we wanted to direct it. The producing part, I think, was something that we weren't really sure about. But once I kind of made the choice to run with it, it was kind of like, no one else can do this. And I can agree with, is it Aviva? Okay, good, I did it right. Where like, I definitely have some control stuff. And like, also once you have a vision, we want it to be the way that we see it. And so it was more so like, how are we going to bring people on board that can help us execute that vision, and really being like kind of firm in that and unwavering with, well, this feels right because they see what we want this to be. And if they didn't, or we didn't connect with them, it was kind of like not going to be the right thing.
Yeah. I think my kind of goal was to I enjoy like collaborating with people, and I really wanted to have someone who's very passionate about like, and knows like the science of the camera, and has like a more intimate knowledge than I do, or I can have, or at the moment, or that it would take me a long time to get there even, and same thing with like working with an editor, like I always put our videos together, whatever we made, myself, like in editing. And I feel like I'm a capable editor, but I don't feel like it's never been like my main focus. So I wanted to work with someone who like, that's what they're passionate about, and this was like our first time where we got to do that, where we got to kind of like meet these people who are passionate about lighting, or passionate about the cinematography, who are passionate about the editing, and kind of like get their take on our story, and how to tell it. But I also, there is like this control issue, or amount of control that we want to have to be able to say, no, we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
If it falls outside of that, that vision, but really we didn't really have to say a lot of no's to people. Like she did a great job in like bringing on the right people. And I think there's also an element of having a smooth production where you show up and everybody shows up on time and everybody's nice to each other and all the food is there when it's supposed to be. And everybody just feels like taken care of, and you have like a good set. And, there's people who, a lot of people who we worked on this film with were saying that this was, like the best set experience that they've had. And this was like her first time producing, and it's just like, I think it speaks to the craziness of her and how passionate she is about orchestrating and planning and, making sure things are right. And I think that's,
I will say that I did have assistance with the financial end of things. We had like a production coordinator who was like my right-hand man, who helped me a lot with that aspect of everything. We did have a budget at one point, and that budget continued to grow as time passed. with us being determined to have this film like be what we wanted it to be, how we envisioned it to be. So I definitely feel like this was our first time. We were used to doing everything on our own with videography and editing and producing. With any other projects in the past, it's always just been us two. So this was our first time having the assistance of, we had a great DP who I feel like she assisted us in so many ways. Even just like how we directed the film and came up with the ideas, but we kind of collaborated with her on the shots and how they were going to happen. And she really understood our vision and was definitely like an integral part of this project for sure.
Great. Can you talk to us about the process of switching roles while you're acting, trying to deliver your performance 1 minute, and then the next minute you're directing and managing crew, and then you are doing, whatever else you have to do, since it seems like y'all pretty much did all the things.
For myself, I just remember like setting up the shot with my cinematographer, John Carr. He and I had a very interesting relationship in that he was absolutely convinced that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I felt the same way about him. So we would go back and forth on this, and then after all that settled in, we finally would map out the shot selection. And then I remember using Walter Cruz, my stand-in, to pretty much be where I was supposed to be. And he would read the lines, and then I would step in and I would do my performance. And then I would I would say cut. Usually I like momentum and energy. So I would like shoot the scene 3 times in a row, sometimes more, without cuts, just back to one, and just keep it going, keep it rolling. And then I would look at the viewfinder after a yell cut. And then I would look to see if this was interesting. Like, do I want to watch this guy? And for whatever reason, I'm able to detach enough as a director to see myself as not myself, and just kind of like see it for what it is. And then that was actor director. The writing was continuous. Francis Coppola says the script is like this, like the weather; it changes every day. So we would do it scripted, and then I would invite cast to improvise if they feel something was special enough to contribute. There was always a take called the fuck it take, and we would just go off and just do whatever. Some of that stuck to the movie. And then what's the other hat? Yeah, producing. I remember one time I had this really big emotional scene with myself and Dasha Polanco, and moments before we were about to shoot it, my line producer said, Adrian, you need to sign these checks before lunch. I said, well, I'm about to shoot this scene. We have this otherwise it's just. And so I'm like signing the checks, and so that was just weird. But it's important to pay the bills, and I'm actually glad now that I produced too, because it just feels like now when I work just as an actor, it's like a vacation. Like really, I just have to know my lines and just play the character. It's just like when once you wear 4 hats, going back to 1 hat is amazing. But that's a part of my experience on this.
I found in some ways the opposite. Like I get so nervous when I'm on somebody else's set. And because I was distracted by the check signing or the caterer or whatever, what have you, there was no room to be nervous. I just had to be there. And because it was my script, I could fuck up the lines as much as I wanted. We didn't do fuck it takes, but I did a lot of sort of consulting with the cast about what was reading right or what needed to be changed or altered. And I did have my partner as co-director. So when I was not in a scene, I was head director. But when I was in the scene, I wasn't directing. I obviously had my own ego and was directing myself internally, like I do as an actor anyway. I wish that I had done more look at the footage as I was going, because there are things that I would have directed myself to do or not do that now when I watch, I'm like, ah, fuck, even like my eye line or something like that, that I would have liked to have caught. But I was lucky enough to be able to sort of step into acting role and be actor, and then step out and be director when I wasn't in the scene, if that makes sense. And
Okay, what was the question again? I'm hearing everybody's experience, but like, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
What was it like for you switching back and forth between your different roles?
Okay, right.
And why does
It-
Robert prefer to be called Andrew?
Oh God, I'm never gonna live that down. Again, I apologize, brother. It was chaos. It was very. I rather would stay. I'm a big fan of something called monotasking. You know, I'll do one thing really good at a time, and then I move on to the next thing, and I do it really good. You know, but doing a lot of things, I just feel like I can't give myself 100%. So while I'm jumping in and out of it, I'm setting up the shot. And I'm talking to my wife saying, okay, I want the camera right here, I want the camera right here. And I got to talk to my son, I got to slide him a bamba so he's okay. And then he chills, and I got to go on the other side, and I have to talk to him, but then I have to pray that my wife is, you know, on me and on him. So I'm trying to be here and be here and be here. Then I have to go back and look at it, and I can actually see where I am. I can see it, and I'm like, so I have to go back and flip it around and do it 1,000 times, which I would say 1,000 times, but most likely was maybe 2 or 3. But being able to shift personally, and I'm always thinking about being truthful and telling and you know, giving the performance and telling the story clearly, and giving it everything I had. However, this first time, it really felt like I was splitting myself in 3 different places. It may not be something other people can see, but personally, I can see it because it's me. You critique yourself hardest. So that was a thing I had to get past. But because this was my first time, and I didn't fully put my faith in, you know, my wife's handling of everything. This is not her thing. She's in marketing. She rather, you know, do other things than hold a camera, which is not something that she does. But because she loves me, she will follow me on this journey. So I'm very thankful she did such a wonderful job. But during the time, it was a bit stressful because I was always concerned, is this truthful? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? And am I biased? Or do I just want to make sure that we're on time getting everything done? As far as producing goes, I don't understand the job of a producer totally. I just know you have things to get done. You have things to pay for. You have to pay for things and organize things. I don't know if that's what a producer is. I know producers kind of fluid in some places. So what did I produce it? I guess I produced it too. It kind of falls somewhere in between, you know, everything else I was doing. But it just seemed like I was too many minds. I'd rather be one. I can do it, but I have a preference of just, you know, focusing on, you know, being truthful in the moment.
Yeah, so for us, I feel like we kind of made a conscious choice to try to do as much before our shoot days as possible, so that on the shooting days, we had like our AD was also like our line producer for the days. So we didn't have to, focus on like making sure that everyone's like been helped for if they got the right food or, you know, whatever those like kind of intricacies are. And we would be able to really just focus on the acting and being in the moments. And so we spent a lot of time with our DP in the days leading up to shooting. We went to the locations, we set up the shots, we took pictures of the shots, we planned out how the camera was going to move. We planned out, you know, that we're going to get coverage at this time. At this time, we had our days, like the hours all planned out for all of the shots. And we did a lot of rehearsal together in our apartment. So we rehearsed the scenes pretty thoroughly and self-directed each other before even getting to the shoot days. Because unfortunately, we did not have the time to do our takes and then run playback to make sure on the days that we got everything. Hindsight, would love to have had that, and definitely would have noticed some things that some of the other people didn't pick up on, which is fine. It wasn't really their job to. And yeah, like just being able to adjust performances in the moment would have been great. So we definitely have learned some lessons with that.
Yeah. But ultimately, I mean, it came down to time,
Yeah.
time, which is why we rehearsed so much. We knew that number one, we're shooting in natural light. Number two, we're shooting in public spaces. So there's lots of stuff we're not going to have control over. So we need to hone in our performances as much as we can, be in the moment, but be on top of our lines and our dialogue, which of course we wrote lots and lots of dialogue for ourselves. And, it's just kind of like, it's a lot, for us to kind of, we knew we weren't going to be able to watch playback. And we just kind of agreed to that beforehand. And I think she has a question.
I do. I have a question.
Right, yeah.
Were you guys always acting together?
Yeah.
And were you only cast?
There was one, yes, we were the only cast and
Yeah.
we were acting together. There was one day where I got to direct her and I didn't have to be on camera, and that was our first shooting day. And I mean, I was so nervous. You were nervous.
Yeah.
Because of course it's just you. It was like we had the scene where she's in the car by herself and there's no dialogue and it's just kind of.
We weren't even permitted to shoot in the car, so I was nervous about that.
Yeah. But honestly, like that was like my easiest day. I mean, I got to just kind of like be at the monitor and like talk to her about her performance and what's going on with her character in those moments and answer questions from everybody. And then just kind of like, I don't know, it was then at the end of the day, we got like the last shot of the film basically, or the last few shots of the film. And the sun was setting. It was like, I don't know, it was just like a really beautiful experience. And I think of that as like the first time I got to really like direct with a crew, and it being really scary, but at the same time it being a very good experience for me, But on the days when we're in the public spaces, we're in a park and there's like suddenly a school of kids sitting directly next to us, having like a loud outdoor class.
And we're supposed to be in an argument.
And we're like supposed to be in an argument. And
Yeah.
It was really, and then there's like some musicians that showed up in the park and they just decided they were going to start playing music, and it was just like, it was difficult because, as a scene partner and I think as a director, just trying to be like, okay,
Like present.
It's just us here.
Yeah.
And the rest of the park is empty, and checking in with sound and checking in with DP and checking in with everybody and making sure that we're like good to go. But also trying to be present in each scene and direct. It just felt like, getting pulled in a lot of directions. But I think the job of any, on-screen talent is to just try and be in the moment as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a job that like, that's a challenge for me that I enjoy, and that's something that like, I feel like, I don't know, I got a kick out of in a way, and it was tough to direct and to like orchestrate all that and make sure everything was good. But we did have a team of people that we felt like we can trust. And, you know, sound says we got it, we got it. If, you know, if the DP says it's good and you can't see these kids doing backflips in the background, then we got it, you know? And it's just like, if the park looks empty, we got it. And, you know, and just kind of, you know, again, like the importance of having a crew that we can collaborate with and that we felt good about and that we can trust was like major for us. And it made it so that we could focus on acting. It made it so that we could direct, but also like, you know, delegate certain aspects to our team when we needed to. And you know, it was tough. I don't know if I would necessarily do that again. Like, honestly, I felt like I would rather direct another actor or just act as, you know, and be directed myself. But it was a really good experience, you know, ultimately.
Yeah, same. I definitely would like to just focus on directing or just focus on acting, or if you're going to be acting in it, just be acting in a little bit of it or parts of it where you have more time spent off screen. Or even if you are going to be acting in it fully, make sure that the time is built in so that you can watch playback, so you can see that like, oh, there's a little mic here, we need to move that. Or
that was my fault.
Or, you know, I mean, the only thing I had to do producer wise, because I was familiar with like what we were allowed to do within the park, was just kind of like tell you know, our grip that like they couldn't hang something on a tree. So that was like probably the most I had to, or get people's like parking tickets so that I could pay for them or whatever. But most of the stuff I was able to kind of delegate to our AD. I really do think that our like pre-planning and all of our rehearsal is really how we were able to do what we did, because our takes were also, we would shoot, like one of our scenes was like 5 minutes, you know, just shooting all the way through. And so it was, and we're shooting in natural light and really dependent on the light for the whole film. So we weren't really able to watch as much as we'd like to, but we got what we needed and we're happy with it. And it was a fantastic experience. I would do it over again 1,000 times for sure. It was amazing. And we're from LA.
I had no clue there were kids doing backflips in that scene. So you did hide it well. So any plans on doing it again?
Yes, but not with my money. I will move mountains next time. I don't want to spend my money anymore. I want to make money and buy things, you know. But I enjoyed the process of all the rest of it.
I, like Abby, would like to do it again, but maybe just have a cameo. I really like directing, and I really like acting, and I would like to be able to focus or dedicate to one or the other and just give myself like a little, who's the Stanley cameo every now and again.
Yes, I'm actually on my way to doing it again. So by default, I'm gonna jump right back into it, but with on a larger scale. So I have something that's already in pre-pro right now that's that I'm really excited about. So yeah, but I hope to get some other people's money.
Yeah, the money. Definitely don't want to have to self-fund our next project. So definitely want to spend some time figuring that part out more. But I mean, I would do it again, wear all the hats. I definitely like to have a control over the project, that for original projects, you know, being able to pick the crew that we have and be able to direct it. But yeah, maybe in the next project, not act in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm torn in my in my mind about, of course, I would like to not, you know, go homeless to make a film. You know what I mean? But I'm also of the mind that, like, if that's what it takes, you know, I just feel like I'm not gonna spend my life waiting around for someone else to hire me, you know? And I just, if I need to make my own stuff, I need to make my own stuff. If I need to, you know, get Abbey to produce something, I will, you know? You know, no, it's hard, it's stressful, it's challenging, but also this was our first try. And I'm like, you know, just because this was our first time and this was our first experience with this, I'm really happy and really proud of like what we came out with. It very much was the film that we envisioned it to be, you know, and thankfully I do have a little bit of like an editor's mind. So in my mind, I know we got the shots, I know how they're connecting, you know, and I think that that's like a good thing. I feel like there is a level of, when you are wearing all the hats, of consistency, you know that you got what you're aiming for. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm the same. I would like to do a cameo. You know, but or maybe just have like a really quiet character, you know, just doesn't have all the lines in like a 5-minute walk on the beach and I forgot the last line and we got to redo it. You know, I'm just like, son of a, you know, that's my fault. But you know, I had a good experience, and if that's what it takes, you know, I'm definitely willing to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. It's really fulfilling to have an idea of what you want to do and then to make that happen. I don't think there's anything that's been more fulfilling in my life. So I feel like I'm kind of addicted to that at this point. So just want to keep doing it.
Also have something to that as well. Being able to do your own projects, especially if you are able to execute them at a high level. We spend so much time worrying about casting and how we're perceived and all these things. Yet we go through life expecting people not to do us that way, but we accept this from casting, this preconceived notion, just because of our headshots or, you know, or one conversation, they presume the depths of our character and what we are able to bring. I think we can say, screw that. We don't have to accept that with these projects that we can create ourselves, create characters that we love, create characters that we can explore, and be something else besides, you know, what a designator chooses to put you know, where they decide to place us. And we're doing this so we can, you know, experience different things and learn different ways of thinking and feelings and all these things. But you kind of trap yourself in not being able to do that when you always leave it up to someone else to cast you. So you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So being able to cast yourself is the most liberating feeling and the real freedom of this ability that we have here to create our own films.
And I just wanted to add that although it would appear that I wore all the hats, the reality is I had a cast and crew that saved my ass every single day. iGilbert was shot over 20 days and we had the weekends off so that I could catch my breath. And we shot 5-day weeks, and every day, either an actor or a crew person just saved my life on that movie every single day. And I'm eternally grateful to all of them.
So what advice would you give someone, another filmmaker coming to you saying, hey, I saw that you did this, I'm thinking about it? What would you tell them?
I mean, for myself, I would just say drink a lot of water. It's true. It sounds, you know, redundant, but it's true. Drink a lot of water. Make sure you rest. Make sure you're prepared beyond anything you could imagine, because on the day, if you're not prepared, you're going to lose a lot of time, and time is always ticking. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure you cast actors that are fantastic, who don't need a lot of coddling on the day, and make sure that you just live in gratitude for the cast and crew that are going to save your ass, like I said, every day. And good luck.
Yeah, I would second the gratitude for everybody doing everything for you. And If you do have control issues, which you might, if you're like, I'm going to do it all, then learn how to delegate, ask for help, accept help, and go for it. And maybe remember that you're doing it because it's fun and you love it. So on those days that you're like, why have I done this? Because it's fun and you love it.
That's awesome, because I always think that I have to force myself to remember that it's fun while I'm trying to be my best at, be my best. I'm like, remember, this will be fun. I'm like, wait, but I have to get this right. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But people who want to do this, I say do it. Just go for it. Adrian said, time is ticking, and you're not getting any younger. And there's 1,000 projects that are being, produced by people, and you're either going to spend your time sitting in the stands, or you're going to be there, creating your own stuff to share as well. And even if you only have a phone, do it. If you get help, I would say get help. I will be on board with that. But even if you can't, don't let that dissuade you. Do the best you can with what you have, but hopefully you're proud of it. But I say at least you have to try. So yeah, and also drink a lot of water is great. But I love how your background is a bar.
Yeah, well, water is, subject to the interpretation.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with drinking a lot of water and getting a lot of rest. But I would also say to someone who was going to do the same thing we did, I would be really excited for them and definitely say to go for it. And I would also just advocate to, make sure that you get along really well with the people that are going to help you make this happen, because they do become a family, and they are the reason why it happened. So make sure that there's that connection there. If there's something that's like not clicking between you and someone you're looking to bring on, maybe keep looking, because it really, really makes a difference in the end who you have on your team. And it's a team effort, that these things don't generally happen with just one person. And Garland, you did an amazing job with yours, but obviously you had your wife too, and you just even just support of friends and family. You do have like this community that helps give birth to this child, that is like our passions. So definitely take the time and make sure you have that tribe, that's gonna help get your vision out.
Yeah, I would say, don't be afraid of failing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that that's something that I would have to tell myself very often is, don't be afraid of trying different things. Don't be afraid of experimenting, and don't be afraid of it not working. The real, don't let that stop you from trying. Basically, you have to find out, you have to go out there, you have to make things, and by failing, you're going to get better, So I think it's just kind of, I spend a lot of time in my head afraid of failure, but and being uncertain of whether or not a performance or a certain amount of writing or direction is working in the way I want it to. And that's something that I kind of like struggle with. But at the end of the day, I feel like I have this kind of like 80-20, rule in my head, where it's like, if it's 80% there, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
Or if I have the time to shoot it, and try to get it as perfect as I can, good. But don't be afraid of the failure. Don't let that stop you from moving towards your goal, and ultimately try to enjoy the experience. That's, the days pass by
Totally.
very quickly when you're shooting, man. And that's, that's my favorite time. And that's a time that I'm always going to remember. But just, soak it in while you can.
Yeah. I was going to say that, like, really be present with every day, pre-production, enjoy every moment of it, because it doesn't last forever. And, even the hard times are still in some ways enjoyable. Even if you ended the day crying, you still like can look back, and that like work transformed you and your project, and it made it what it is. And you can't relive those moments. So definitely try to enjoy them while they're happening. And yeah, gratitude for the people that helped make it, and gratitude for yourself for like making it happen.
And I just wanted to add, on a practical level, sorry, I'm being chased. Anyway, I just want to add that it's good to have an A list of the people you hire in terms of the cast and the crew, and it's good to have a B list, because if this is like a low budget or an ultra low budget, they will leave for more fruitful work if they need to. And you don't want to be in a position where you lose your DP and then all of a sudden, I don't know who to call, like have a list, back yourself up in terms of the talent and the crew, because life is fluid and they may leave to shoot a commercial in London for 30,000 or whatever it is. So back yourself up on that, and yeah, really enjoy the moment, because when I think of all the work that I've done, the one thing I don't think about, did it win awards or what? I think about the people I worked with and the experience of being there, and just these moments, these delicious moments of just really connecting with people. That's what I think of. Like that's what runs through my head, like a movie.
I think we're pretty much done for today, but do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share? And then also please share where people can find you so they can keep track of what you're doing.
I have no further thoughts other than thank you, and it was really nice to meet you guys. I'm going to look up all your films. I'm assuming I can still watch them in the Portland world. I guess I'd like to know where your film is going next. And my film is on Instagram. It's called Lune, Lune, and our Instagram handle is Lune the Film. See.
I have nothing to add. You can find me at the Garland Scott on Instagram, and my film is still on the festival train. So I'm hoping that it goes, keeps going, and it goes pretty far. And it's picked up a few things along the way. And I hope to continue to share and create more work, and possibly work with, you all one day. That'd be a really big blessing for me to not just share my work with you, but become a part of, a community in the future. So it was a blessing meeting you all. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this won't be the last time we see each other.
Yeah, so I love that. Would love to work with all of you and meet you all in person and collaborate. And definitely wrote down all of your films. I can't wait to watch them. Our film Undercurrent is still on in Portland Film Festival, so you can check it out there. Our Instagram is Undercurrent the Film, or we have our individual Instagrams. I'm Abbey Sowick, and his is film.rob.
Or Andrew, maybe.
Or maybe it's Andrew.
I'm thinking about changing now. I'm on the fence. I don't know.
Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still on the festival train, as well. We're hoping to get into more. We just got accepted into another one, and we're gonna keep going, and we have some ideas for upcoming projects, but we gotta sit down and get to writing, hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to kind of get to talk to you guys and about your films, and just have a community of like-minded, passionate people.
Yeah.
is really I don't know, just really good place to be. So we really appreciate being here.
Yeah, we're so grateful, and congratulations to everyone for making your projects and getting into a festival. And we know that it's hard work, and I'm excited to watch everyone's projects for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to add, honor your talent, because if you don't honor your talent, it's going to haunt you. it certainly haunted me. Every day I pretended I didn't want to do this or needed to do this. So, and you can, iGilbert got a distributor. Oh, that's my distributor now. Yeah, so it was coming out December. It's coming out December. I'm very psyched. 10 cities at first, and then streaming where we all wind up. I can't officially say the rest right now, but happy days are coming. And you can follow me on Instagram at Taste of Adrian, TASTE of Adrian.
That's exciting news. Congratulations.
Thank
I'm gonna have to change my name to Taste of Garland. That's awesome. That's,
I have a dog.
it gets you in there.
My dog is Taste of Chewbacca. If you want to follow him too, he's Chewbacca is like, he's a 6-pound Brussels Griffon, and he's the most hysterical thing. And he has more followers than me, so, and that's as it should be.
Well, gotta compose myself after that. That's hilarious. Thank you all for joining us, panelists. This was a wonderful presentation, and thank you to everybody watching. Please check out our films, Lune, A World Away, iGilbert, and Undercurrent at portlandfilm.org through November 8th.
Break legs, guys, break legs.